There is, this whole morning we've been talking about sustainability and producing less and fair and in many different ways. But there's also parts of the process in which we produce textiles or which we don't talk about often. And one of them is actually dyeing. So actually I would like to ask you a question, and it's the one you read here. It's, which color are you wearing today? At some point in time, you bought your shirt, your dress, your jacket, your pants. And before that, somebody produced it. And before that again, the fibers, the textile, or the garment itself had been dyed. Means that somewhere around the world, a lot of chemicals have been released in the environment and residues of dyes. And I find it very interesting that actually, when we buy our clothing, we often look at it's fairly produced and it's on your etiquette, it's on your labels, it's everywhere, or it's organic cotton or silk, or it's very sustainable materials, but nobody tells you how it's been dyed. That's quite bizarre, isn't it? How is it possible that nobody talks about such a harmful process? So, 1.5 years ago, we accidentally met these funny friends up there, and they're bacteria. They are unicellular organisms that produce pigments like everything else on Earth. Because when we think about more sustainable ways of dyeing clothing, we usually tend to think, oh, we go to natural dyeing, so plants, flowers, roots. But are they really sustainable? I mean, to grow plants and flowers, we still need masses of water. And then we need to harvest them, we need to process them, and then refine and we can dye the garments. But as I was saying, we started looking around us, and at Waag Society we have a beautiful wet lab downstairs, which is an open biology lab. And we walked in one day and they were working with these bacteria. And it was colorful bacteria. It's bacteria that produce pigments to protect themselves or simply as a side product of their existence. And we fell in love with them. It was a magical discovery. It's something as a fashion and textile designer you never think about. I mean, it's not your first step to think, I'm going to walk into a wet lab and I'm going to work with bacteria. No. It was magic. It was finding out tools and understanding that actually multidisciplinarity and people that have completely different knowledge can help you fixing problems that you want to find a solution for, or alternatives, or just simply really exploring possibilities, see what happens, start to question and ask those what if. What if they actually could be an alternative? What if they could work? So, first of all, we started, let's say, playing around with them, started growing them, seeing if they would dye textiles, and they did. And we didn't need to use any chemicals, so we were extremely surprised because, on the other hand, they need almost no water and very little food to grow. And it's bacteria. I mean, the whole world is covered in bacteria constantly. So how many possibilities are there out there? How many thousands, how many millions of possibilities are there? And there is a lot of research been done. In the last 10 years, there is tons of research in bacteria and the pigments they produce. So why does it stay as research? We were really confused at the beginning. We were really interested and engaged and exploring, and we were finding all these research papers, but it was also a sort of like, why is nobody taking advantage of this? Why is nobody using them and turning them into a new solution? Well, as I was saying earlier, a fashion and textile designer doesn't have knowledge in bacteria. So all those papers are really hard to read. You start seeing all these numbers and things, and you're like, flexibility, what does this number even mean? But the more you read, of course, you start understanding. But we also realize that if we don't document the research we are doing and trying to understand how we could adapt this into words that other people like us can actually use and contribute to, we won't go very far. So this is where this process of researching, learning and documenting started. and really sharing the knowledge. So through our boot camps, our projects, our sometimes just a simple workshop, but also an academy, we started teaching and showing to other fashion and textile designer, technologists, or people that wanted to start experiment with textiles, how this is actually really easy to do and really fun. And they were all really surprised. And the more we've been doing this, the more examples have been popping out. This is the work of 2 of our students of last year. And they're getting more and more exposure. They've been telling us, we've learned this here, and now we're taking it here, and everybody makes a little bit of changes and adds to the contribution, and the knowledge is growing, it's changing. And this is another project of other 2 of our students, Dagmar and Carolina, and they thought, we're going to apply this to one niche, and we're going to make kitchenware. Towels, gloves, everything, let's see what happens. And people loved it. And this is another girl that worked with us in the Open Wet Lab and Textile Lab, who actually graduated from Amphi with a whole collection just about dyeing with bacteria. And it's quite amazing how everybody's like, bacteria? Really? And we're like, it's been out there for ages. How do you, nobody knows in this field. But where we see this going now is actually continuing this. Starting really to share and contribute all together. And we started in Amsterdam, we continued with Athens, we brought them to Barcelona, we brought them to China. We've been going around with all of these bacteria and teaching people how they can use them and get them interested. And well, I think this image kind of talks for itself. We would like to cover all of Europe with bacteria, and people contributing and learning and teaching each other what they have discovered.